Okay, you guys, this is me tinting this Acura. I'm going to be hand cutting it. Usually we have a plotter, but the patterns, for whatever reason, weren't there. I don't know if I just need to update them or what, but I'm going to be hand cutting this car, basically tinting it all by myself. I mean, I'm at work, so there's other people here, but this job I'm doing by myself. And so as you see, I am just cleaning the windows. I start on the outside because I will be hand cutting patterns and heat shrinking them. And so I need the outside of the glass clean before I apply these patterns that I'm going to put on here for heat shrinking. Now, for those of you that already know window tinting, I'm sure you'll have a bunch of negative comments because we all do things different, and it tends like we like to point out each other's flaws. But for those of you that don't know window tinting, you have no idea what I'm doing wrong. So I consider everything being done right. So for starters, I took a particular shade, I believe it was 20% for the two front doors, and I combined the correct length for hand cutting, one on top of the other in a reverse method so that I can cut both patterns at once, both front doors. And so now I rolled the window down a little bit to get a perfect top edge cut. I made some small grooves on the side so I know where to cut. I'm taking measurements because now I'm going to be working on the back, except for I have to finish up the front doors. So with my ruler and my sip of coffee, with my ruler, I can see the little marks I made, and now I know where to trim the sides. The top's already done. The bottom is already kind of a straight edge at the bottom. And so now the front doors, the pattern themselves are now, we'll hear in a second. The pattern themselves are now cut. I will still need to heat shrink, and because the two patterns are together, I can heat shrink them together for both sides. And now I'm going to get the film ready for the back doors, and I've opened up that back door because I'm always in fear of locking the keys in the car. So as long as one door is always open, you can't lock keys in the car. And since I'm going to do this on the other side with the doors closed, that's why I shut that. Well, I guess this one's open too. I don't know why I opened that other one, but I'm sure that was my possible reason. But here I am doing the same thing I did to the front door. I'm just making the pattern, I'm making my grooves, I'm cutting my top edge, and then with my ruler, I will then trim up. See, look, yeah, there, I closed the two doors, and because that door is still open, I know that I'm not going to be able to lock the keys in the car. So here I am, cutting the sides with the marks that I made, so I know where to cut. Top edges are already done. And then I'll clean up my corners with either just kind of rounding them off, trimming up what I didn't finish cutting in the first place. So now I'm going to take this pattern, putting it back on the other side. I got to clean my table first because I'll be coming back. So now I'm going to do the heat shrinking. So I like to heat shrink twice. I do it, if you can see, there's a space in the middle between the two patterns. And then after I'm done there, I pull them off the glass and just put them a little closer to each other, and then heat shrink what I'm going to call the other side because I have it overlapping a little bit on the car itself. So now I've separated, because there are two patterns, I've just separated. These are the two front doors, put them aside. And now I've got the two passenger sides, and now I'm going to get ready to put them on the other glass table. Again, some window tinters will claim that your glass table should be as close to the door as possible, meaning right next to it. Like you see the car behind me, that car is closer to the glass wall, those templates, but in this case, my patterns are a little further away than I guess you can say they should be, but I'm working with what I have. But as you see right now, I'm just cutting my back window pattern. I've just got a larger amount of film to go over the size of the glass. I've trimmed just a rough cut with what I'm working with, and then I'm going to heat shrink again, back with the heat gun. And once I'm done heat shrinking, then I'll do a more accurate cut to get to the, I wouldn't call it precise, but as close as I need to be to match the back window's pattern. So now that I'm pushing myself out of frame, now I'm back in frame. I've heat shrank one side, now I'm going to be heat shrinking and finishing up the other side. Then I have to grab my light because it's a 5% for the back, and that's hard to see through, so I have a drop light that's powered by charging it up And so now I can just hold that from one end. That's the back deck lid, I guess you'd call it. It is just kind of very light and has some plastic panels on the side, so I just put it on top of the car. It's got the sunroof right there. It's not going to kind of damage anything. Of course, I probably should have set it somewhere else, but I just don't. Sometimes I would hate to forget it if I put it in the back seat and then the customer picks it up and wonders why their back deck lid's sitting in their back seat. So that's why I put it in an obvious place that I'm going to put it back where I found it. So if you can kind of see the third, or that light, I'm shining that light around to figure out where to cut. And I use like a little plastic clip that I put underneath the film in between my blades, so I'm not actually cutting my blade on the car. I'm actually just cutting it over my blade in that plastic clip. That's my pattern. We put that up on the glass wall. Now I'm going to clean the outside, and then I'll lift up that hatch, and I have doesn't matter what color it is, but I have a pink towel that I'll be putting to cover the water that'll be spraying down. And there's my pink towel. Been using that forever. I think it's just like a bed sheet comforter or cover. I think it's like a queen size. This thing we've been carrying around forever. And so now I've masked off my area. I've cleaned the back window. That's the pattern I cut. Now I'm just squeegeeing out the water. And we've got one window here in a second, finally tinted. This one is basically done. And now we'll move on to the doors that I made the patterns to. I'm going to tape up is what I call this. I'm taping up the doors. I put a cloth around the door panel so that my overspray isn't getting the door panel wet. And this is just, it's a sticky tape, but it doesn't like have residue or anything. And so I'm just putting it on the top of the door trim, door panel trim, door cover, whatever it is, door panel top cover. And here's my, what is that, purple towels that I'm just wrapping now around. And then I have, this is very thin cloth rope. So nothing here is damaging. It's all put together, even with the edges are just put together with rubber bands. So nothing there is rough enough to scar up or scuff the paint of the car or damage anything for that matter. And now I've put it underneath the tape. And so now I'm putting that deck lid back together. And as I'm explaining, we go one at a time per door. And so I could spray enough water that won't drip on anything, like as far as the door panel. That's my mother. She was cleaning up the shop there for a second. She stopped by on her way through town. And then she was impressed by these little ropes I had, asked where I got them from, but I told her I basically made them myself. So here I am now with the first front door. Pattern was ready for me. I cleaned it all up. I'm doing what's called a two-stage step. So I'm tinting the top half of the window, getting it as close to that top edge as I trimmed it up for. And I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes and go work on the back door that's behind me where I was. Now I've got that door I'm working on. And with the heat gun, I'm just warming up the film, and that will actually help dry the film as well. And then now I'm going to take my orange card and just kind of push out the water a little bit better. And then I may take a razor blade and then I kind of trim the top edge. There's that orange card. And then I take my razor blade and kind of like, because I do like to have the film a little as high as I can get it. And if you run the blade across it, then you know you're no higher than it needs to be. And now I'm two-staging it. And here's the bottom stage. I'm just putting that back down in there. Took my towel, put that away. Now we're back to this door. If everything's fine, I don't know where I went. If everything's fine, now I can trim the top edge. Film should stay in place. I could roll that up, finish off the bottom part, which is my second stage, two-staging. Some people do what's called bottom loading. They're able to pull the door panel back a little bit. If not, take the door panel off and pull the sweep out. And then they could just kind of put the film down below the sweep. And that's just their one stage. But I'm doing two stages. Once again, if you're a window tinter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not a window tinter and you've never been informed about how window tinting works, usually we're wondering why I was putting on the outside to start with, but that's just a prepping situation. That's how we all do it. And now we're back to the inside. So we've got this door, and in some cases, maybe here, I don't know, but sometimes I don't necessarily let it sit before I start on the next one. I may just be able to roll it up right now. The other one, I think it was moving around quite a bit on me. I do remember the job. So see, this one, I didn't wait to go do the back one. I was able to roll it up immediately if I can get it to stick good enough. And then now I'm just putting it down low enough underneath the rubber edge or the sweep edge on that door panel. And I had to roll it down, I believe, if you saw there, because that top corner, I think, wasn't trimmed as much as I liked. And so now I've got my towel, I put that away. One door left to go. You may not recognize this at this stage, but there were two small little quarter windows right behind me, one on each side. So I still had those to finish off. So after this door is done, I have the two small quarter windows to go. And that'll complete this window tinting job all by myself, except for I've got people there. If you see in that back, that Honda Civic back there, we're removing old tint. And you can kind of see, if you can tell what you're looking at, he's got one little piece left. He got that off there. So now my doors are mostly all done. I put all the towels away. Nope, I see one right there on that front door. I haven't put that towel away yet. But I'm starting on the quarter window, and I hand cut that little pattern a second ago. Or maybe I'm making the pattern. I think I already cut it. And so now, yep, I'm taking off. What am I doing? I'm taking off that towel. And I've got the one last quarter window to go. And that'll complete the job. Job is done. Dennis was kind enough to pull these cars out for me. And so, from start to finish, hand cutting this Acura. I don't know what kind it is, but I know it's an Acura. Now I've moved on to help out that other car. I believe I'm going to help get some of that film off and heat shrink and tint that one. But this one's complete. Let's take a look at it. I've got the pictures before and after, and this is it finished up. So thanks for watching. If you stuck around this long, you're a champ.